Mr. Guy, over here!
Tell me, Mr. Guy, what do you consider advocacy?
Advocacy is when people use their voice to stand up for and educate others. With many problems in the world, people often find themselves unaware and even misinformed. Therefore, advocacy is important so people become more aware of social issues and work together to create a more just society.
Mr. Guy, how does that pertain to us?
As citizens of the United States, it is our job to help those in need, as well as spread awareness regarding the present-day issues in our society. Silence helps no one. One person struggling is a reflection that we as a society are struggling. We are all capable of doing so much more. Therefore, we have a duty to not only act, but to genuinely care. Together, we have the power to change lives, to pick each other up, and work towards a happier world.
Rajan made a new friend this year. His name is Sharmathy, and they get along really well. But recently, Rajan noticed that Sharmathy doesn't have that many friends. Sure, he has a helmet to help him breathe on land and technology to help him talk, and maybe he doesn't like being touched very much. But none of those are very good reasons for the other kids to outcast him during recess. Sharmathy is really nice and fun to hang out with. Just the other day, he taught Rajan all about coral reefs. Maybe through this advocacy Mr. Guy talked about, Rajan could help Sharmathy make more friends. Deciding he needs help, Rajan goes to ask some kids from John Marshall if they know the answer to any of his questions.
Hey Rajan, within the past year in AP Gov, we got the chance to spend time doing activities with the special education classes at our school.
I participated in playing board games, drawing, a Halloween event, and a kickball game with the special education class. Sometimes I was left in awe when playing with my friends by how much they knew how to do. While playing Connect 4, Kenneth was so good at it and beat me. Another time, one of my friends was talking about politics, which fits clearly to the subject of our class.
And I participated the most by drawing. I remember during our first joint class, I just drew with Angel and Caleb for the whole class. I admittedly kept to myself for the first half of the class because I was feeling kind of awkward, but we ended up finding things to do together. Caleb liked drawing McDonald's, and he even colored in one of my Spider-Man drawings. And surprisingly, me and Angel ended up playing a game of Pictionary at some point. I remember I drew a cat when he suddenly spoke up and, spelled out the word cat on the paper. That turned into a genuine game of me drawing different animals and foods while he named them and spelled them out. Oh, recently we played a game of kickball with the class, and I brought my little frog puppet since it's a fan favorite, and I didn't feel like going into the sun. I was not expecting to be swarmed by students introducing themselves to Mr. Frog here, but that's what happened. Alan in particular was excited because apparently frogs are his favorite animal.
From these experiences, I learned about the brilliance and many capabilities of the special education students. I learned about their interests and the many forms of communication that they take on. For myself, I learned to be more patient and attentive when working with my peers. There was not much of a challenge working with these students, despite them being shy at the beginning. However, they would then welcome us and have an overall fun time. Writing to a representative was a good experience as I was able to voice my experiences and concerns regarding funding for special education and the financial assistance for families with neurodivergent children.
Overall, I realized that they pay more attention than people think. And in my opinion, interacting with them is not all that unsimilar to overcoming a minor language barrier. Exercise a little bit of patience, and you'll realize that hanging out with them isn't all that different from hanging out with anyone else.
Well, that makes sense. However, Rajan still wonders how and why their classes are different.
Oh, I can answer that question. Recently, I interviewed one of the special education teachers about how their classes differ from the gen ed classes. I learned that students in special education classes get something called an EIP, short for Individualized Education Program. These EIPs are specialized for the individual student and are fairly funded thanks to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, often abbreviated to the IDEA Act. It's thanks to Part A of this act that students with disabilities get different classes to better meet their needs so they can get a free, appropriate education in public schools. Part B of this act includes provisions for formula grants that fund their EIP, whether it's paying for OT services, speech classes, adapted PE services. This part of the law federally funds students' EIPs. Additionally, this part of the act also brings up the topic of least restrictive environment restrictions. A little bit of a tongue twister there. These restrictions are one of the reasons why we got the chance to hang out with our friends in the first place. At our school, Mr. B's class meets the LRE restrictions by doing activities outside the classroom, such as hanging out with my class, performing with the rock band class, school events such as our talent show or inclusion week, and even through unified sports. I also learned that the tablets I saw some of the students have are assistive technology that are used to help with speech classes and overall communication, kind of like what Sharmathy has. Assistive technology are another requirement of the IDEA Act, as they include things such as wheelchairs, screen readers, noise-canceling headphones, and, of course, tablets. The IDEA Act is important not only because it protects the rights to education and accommodations necessary to get that education, but because it also does its best to prepare students with disabilities for future education, employment, and other factors of independent living. Oh, also, Mr. B said if he could change anything, he would try to push for a bigger emphasis on community outings. Field trips are already a long and hard process, but with the special education classes, those processes get even longer as the teacher has to consider medical assistance and other factors.
All that Rajon wants to know now is how people can do the advocacy thingy.
We can start off by integrating the special education students into our school events. They are kept away from the rest of the school because they are different, but we are the ones setting up this social barrier. Let's be a more inclusive school to let everyone know that our friends are no different than us. Now that my peers and I have spoken about special education advocacy, we have to continue this work and go beyond. There are so many people in need, and the skills we've gained from working with people will carry on.
And so that's what Rajon did. He helped introduce his friends to Sharmathy, and they all had a great time playing games together. Before long, Sharmathy had a bunch of new friends to play with, and from then on, Rajon continued to advocate for his friends, refusing to let little differences keep them from having fun.